Welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. My name's Mary English. You can find me at www.maryenglish.com, maryenglish.co.uk and UK Astrologer. Now this week we are going to continue a little bit more with solar arcs. We're not going to do them forever until maybe you understand them or I get bored of them or whatever. But today we've had somebody email me in and give me their solar arcs and what happened, and we can see another in demo one, and I'm probably going to explain it a bit more easily for you. So let's go. Okay, so let me read through the email that Kelly has sent me, and she said, "Hello Mary, hope all's well with you. Just listened to this week's podcast and thought I'd send you 2 examples of my solar arcs, which you're welcome to use. We did this earlier this year this is the school that they're studying at, and I couldn't believe how accurate they are. I should also point out that my chart's been rectified and we've gone with 1915 birth time, which is what my mum always insisted on. First example is my daughter's birth, where Mars is conjunct my Venus in the 5th house. And the second example is when my mum was in hospital for a few weeks and Dad and I were visiting her in city and borrowing my granddad's car, and the car got stolen, leaving us stranded. So the teacher at the school said they agreed that was very Pluto. So on the solar arc chart, the ascendant is shifted to 28 degrees, which is exactly conjunct to my Pluto. So I'm going to do them the other way round to what she said. Number 1 is giving birth. Obviously, the thing that happened to her when they were stranded in the car park and her mother's in hospital, she was younger, because me no good at maths and stuff. I emailed her back and I asked, because I had to sort of work it out in my head. She hadn't mentioned any of them. I said, the arc says that you were 35, 23, 22 when you had your daughter, and when the car got stolen was 8 degrees 40, 25. So were you aged, I'm asking now, were you aged 35 and 8 in these instances? And she emailed me back, yes, that's right. I was aged 35 when I had my daughter and age 8 when stranded in the hospital car park. Granddad's car was stolen whilst visiting mum. Also, no idea how long she would be there. Very Pluto-ish, powerless. Unfortunately, I can't remember the exact date when I was 8, but possibly autumn, and went with September 79. And she said that I've also worked out some other examples on friends' charts, and all amazingly accurate. They're fab. Hope this is of use, and let me know if you need any more info. So, okay, so I've got my head round it. So, no, brainless here, managed to understand it. And I realised I'd probably, in my unconscious, complicated what needs to happen when you do a solar arc. So I'm going to talk you through example number 1, which was when Kelly was 8 years old. So we've got a sun sign Pisces, sun in the 6th. We've got ascendant Virgo, and the ascendant is 20 degrees 16 minutes. And Pluto is 28 degrees. So like in my chart, when I shifted my ascendant forwards and just did the maths, I just took one number away from the other, and that made an age. So in Kelly's case, she has a 20 degree ascendant, Virgo ascendant, and her Pluto is also in Virgo. Is that right? Pluto's Virgo. Yeah, and that's 28 degrees. The ascendant is 20 degrees and her Pluto is 28 degrees. And something happened to her when she was 8 years old. So because she was born in the spring, this is later in the year. So she's already had her birthday. So 8 degrees nails it on the head. So that was very plutonium. The car gets, someone's in hospital, very sort of Virgo things, mummy's in hospital, and then the car gets stolen and they're stranded. You know, if you're in a hospital car park and you haven't got your vehicle to get home and you've been visiting someone and you as the child are only 8, and your dad's freaking out because he hasn't got a motor, that's pretty disempowering, I think is the word we're using here. So that's an easy mathematical thing to do, that you've got one thing is 20 degrees, something else is 28 degrees, so it's going to indicate something happens age 8. And it is true that you can find quite a few of these things, and they can completely speak about what it is that occurred. And all you're doing is doing some mathematics, and all you're doing is subtraction or addition, depending on which way round it is, which the distance between the two. Like if you're going to make the distance between something, you either add on from one to the other, or you subtract from the bigger one to the smaller one. And so it's the distance in degrees between each planet in your chart will be a number. So you might have 2 degrees between two planets. Well, did anything happen to you when you were 2 years old? And that's how it is. Whether or not you can make a story for every degree in every part of your chart, I don't know. I haven't looked at enough of them, and trust me, I'm not an expert on this. But have a look and see if there's anything meaningful. Now, when I use the word meaningful, something has to end up conjuncting something else. So if you've got 2 planets in your chart and they're only a couple of degrees apart, that would only indicate 2 years old. Was there something that happened to you when you were 2 that would relate to the planet the word I was going to use was concern, but the planet that is being considered, yeah? Obviously, unless you were born with a stellium, and there's lots of people that are, if you're born with a stellium and you're moving everything forwards by X amount of degrees, you might find that there's lots of things that are going to end up conjuncting to something. So we want to end up with a conjunction. So you count from one planet to the other how many degrees, and then imagine one of those planets has moved forwards through the zodiac, because the zodiac starts at 0 degrees Aries and goes through to 30 degrees Pisces. That's the zodiac. So you have to do the maths in it, and you have to move forwards in the sign. So if something's 2 degrees Sagittarius and something else is 6 degrees Sagittarius, 2 away from 6 is 4, you're going to have to move that first planet that's 2 degrees, 4 degrees forwards, and see what does it conjunct to. So let's look at her second example, which is when she gave birth to her daughter. So her daughter is her oldest child. She's got a couple of children. So this is, now we've got her natally. She's got her Venus is 1 degree Aquarius. And on the date in question, because she knows the date, obviously, the date the daughter was born, Mars is now 1 degree. But that's, you now have to remember that the reason that is because her natal Mars is 25 degrees Sagittarius, okay? And then to get to the end of Sagittarius is 5 degrees. So you go 25 degrees plus 5, that's 30, okay? So you've got all of the sign of Sagittarius now. And then all of Capricorn, that's 30, okay? So 25 to 5 makes the end of Sagittarius. Now you've got all of Capricorn, that's going to be 30 degrees, because you've got to go forwards through the zodiac. So something's happening when they're over the age of 30, because nothing happened. She hasn't got anything in the sign of Capricorn. But the gap between Mars and Venus is exactly 30. Did you say she was 35 years old? Yeah, 35, because the Mars is actually 25 degrees 57 minutes. So we might have to sort of round that up and make it 26. But round about the age of, I think the solar arc turns up as being, what did I say it was? Solar arc is 35. Yeah, 35. There's 35 degrees between her Mars and her Venus. And that's doing the maths, so 25, because it's nearly 26. We're just going to round that up to 26. So the maths is 35, okay? Nothing in Capricorn. So you just, if you want to do it the easy way, count forwards from one planet through the zodiac to the next. How many degrees is that? So there's 35 degrees between her 25 57 minutes Mars and her 1 degree Aquarius. Venus, which is in the sign of Aquarius, which happens to, in her chart, be located in her 5th house. 5th house, what's that all about? Babies. So when you're moving it forwards in your mind, one planet till it catches up to the next planet, going through the signs of the zodiac, what house is it going to end up in? So Mars, when we shift it forwards, boomf, is now in the 5th house and also in the sign of Aquarius. So that fits very nicely. And actually the child that she gave birth to is a Scorpio, and Mars is the ruling planet to that. But that's only if you want to get your head a bit more squished. So obviously anything that moves forwards and then conjuncts a natal Pluto is going to be deep and meaningful. In her example and in mine, we both have Pluto in the 1st house. I mean, she's got a Virgo ascendant. I'm heaps older than her, but she's got a Virgo ascendant. I've got a Leo ascendant, but we both have Pluto in Virgo because she's born not the same generation as me, not even the same decade as me, but Pluto takes a long time to shift, yeah. So hers is... her thing that happened to her is when she's 8 years old. Now, some of the things could probably be, not too traumatic, but they can be life-changing in some ways. I haven't interrogated her and asked her about her experience of the being trapped in the hospital car park and not having a vehicle and visiting mummy who's ill. I can't remember I don't think she mentioned to me what mummy was ill with, but if you can imagine you're there as a child and you're with your parent and now you're stranded. And this is a while ago, so this isn't yesterday this happened. Mobile phones weren't invented when this occurred. Mobile phones weren't invented. So, the only way I would have thought back then, you'd have to find yourself a call box and go and make a call in a call box and put money in the call box, or maybe go back into the hospital again and say, what should I do? This is what's happened, to get the hospital to ring for the police to report the fact the vehicle's stolen, etc., etc. So it's, you have to sort of, how traumatic is that? Is this a big trauma or a little trauma? But it's when you're small, anything like that can be a trauma in some way. And Pluto isn't always necessarily trauma, but something significant had happened. So that's just shifting the ascendant. So it's the distance between one planet and another in degrees, and we're using 1 year for every degree in your life. And the older that you get, because I mentioned now I'm in my 60s, shifting things forwards, one planet to another. So if we use Kelly's chart example, we're not making predictions here, but we can say that she's got her natal Jupiter at 5 degrees into Saggy. So the distance between her Jupiter and her Mars is just under 20 degrees. So did something happen if we shift Jupiter forwards by 20 degrees? It's now conjunct to her natal Mars. We could ask the question in a consultation, did anything happen to you when you were 20 years old? And Jupiter's about learning and lost as travel and whatever, and Mars is about action, aggression and energy, and Mars is located in the 4th house. And now mentally we've moved forwards Jupiter, so that it's now in our minds, Jupiter has now gone into her natal 4th house where her natal Mars is located. And these are questions that can be asked in a consultation, and the client might say, well, why are you asking that? And you explain it's a maths thing. There's a distance of 20 degrees between this planet and the other, and it can indicate that something happened at that age. Ask the question, did something happen? It's going to be a yes or a no, and that can be explored. Now, this might be more useful for people that are into astrology and studying it. Whether or not you can use it with a random member of the public, I don't know, because I haven't tried that one yet. Trust me, I haven't got that far to using it in any consultations yet, because I'm a little bit reticent using it with clients just yet. I'd have to use it with the softer energy clients. I wouldn't use it with somebody that's in a big fix at the minute. But when we're learning astrology and we're exploring things, especially when we're learning it, the best thing to do when you're learning astrology is learn about your own chart, and so that you can demonstrate for yourself that astrology works. Well, I don't need to prove that to myself because I know that it does. But then I am a fan of astrology, and not everybody is. But people that are fans of astrology, and when you're learning it, you can do these things. You can explore in your mind moving things. And you don't, I mean, I'm saying move these in your mind because you're now just, all you've got is the person's chart in front of you. You might just have the chart on your laptop, your computer, on your mobile phone, can't remember what they call cell phone in America. And you might have the app on there and you'll see these degrees between one planet and another, and you just got to mentally calculate it and ask the person the question. But astro.com will do the mathematics for you. You put the date in, as I told you last week, you put the date in the date box of the event that you know happened. Trust me, 9 times out of 10, most people know the date that their child's born, otherwise they can't register the birth. You can stick that in and see in what way was that birth to you significant, yeah? And you can do it the other way around as well. You could do your parents' chart and do your date of birth overlaying to your parents' chart and see was there any significance. And if nothing conjuncts by shifting everything forwards by the age your parent was when you were born, then you could probably quite rightly say that your birth wasn't particularly groundbreaking or impactful. That's the word I want. So it's a and I thought, when I learned about it, I thought, well, it can't be as easy as just being the degrees between one planet and another. It can't possibly be that, was what the argument I had in my head. And then the more I did it, because trust me, I've been doing it all week, the more I was just like, oh my goodness me, that is crazy. Because it's a maths thing. Don't forget, it was humans that invented maths. It wasn't the gods, it was humans that invented it. But it's an interesting experiment. Interesting to give you something else to consider. Because the other thing about astrology is that it allows you to find out your place in the world, like where am I, what am I up to, what am I here for, etc. It gives us a different way of viewing life that I think is kind. I like the fact that in a chart there are 12 signs of the zodiac. So even though we might be a stellium, we've got all our planets, and I don't know, Sagittarius or something, and nothing in any other sign, we've got all of the signs of the zodiac in our chart. So even though we are one sun sign, the planets constantly are moving through the sections of our chart that are empty, that have nothing in them. So the planets, in a sense, are reminding us that we're not alone, that there is something else out there that is inputting into our existence. And I love that imagery, that especially with people with stellium charts, because people with stellium charts can get quite worried about the fact that they've only got 1 or 2 signs of the zodiac in the chart. Whoa, what about all the empty bits? It doesn't matter, because constantly something's going to be moving, even if all we're talking about is the moon, because at the moment the planets are quite one-sided. I mean, there are a lot of things just over one side of the chart. But the moon, even though that's nothing else in certain signs of the zodiac at the moment, the moon will regularly go through the empty parts of your chart and add extra things to it, okay? So let's hope that you've comprehended all we're doing is moving in our mind mathematically, first of all, judging the distance between one planet and another in degrees. So we have to do some counting there. And then those degrees between one planet and another, we're saying 1 degree represents 1 year of life. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So I thought I'd do a little demonstration for someone that's in the news at the moment. And so this is Donald Trump with the hush money court case that's been happening in the US. And I'm not covering all of it because it's a lengthy, complex case. But what I thought I'd look at is the date that he was found guilty and the date that he's been given for the sentencing. So I've whacked those two dates into astro.com. So we got the 30th of May 24 he was found guilty, and the 11th of July is when they're supposed to be sentencing him. Now obviously the sentencing date could change, but let's assume it doesn't. But since we're now into June, the 30th of May has already happened. So I thought, I just want to look and see. What I was interested in is what is the predominant planet in his chart at the moment. As far as solar arcs go, I'm not looking at transits. Because he's in his 70s now, which planet is dominant? Which is the one that is going to trip him up? And what I thought was quite interesting, there are two things going on that are bigger than other things that are happening, and they're coming up to not quite exactness. Okay, so I've put both of the charts up. So we've got the guilty chart, we've got the court date chart. So looking at the guilty chart, we've got him natally having moon 21 degrees Sagittarius, and Neptune is now so natally the moon is 21 degrees Sagittarius 12 minutes. Neptune with solar arc is 20 degrees and 28 minutes. So don't forget, Neptune moves very slowly, but Neptune has been and will have been very near to his moon for a long time now. If that were a transit and Neptune is near your moon, and the moon is how you feel, and Neptune's a weird and wonderful wacky planet, it's not unthinkable that the person concerned could be lying to themselves or others, or be delusional about their feelings and how they feel about stuff. Yeah. What's bigger than that is the solar arc MC, because he's now 74 on that date, 30th May. He's 74 years old, 37 minutes and 11 somethings, 11 degrees, 37 minutes and 11 seconds. He's 74 years old, and we've done an arc of 74, because that's how old he is. So we're using 74 degrees. That's right. Okay, so this arc is the age that he is now, and the MC is 8 degrees and 58 minutes. So the arc one, yes, solar arc, his natal Pluto is 10 degrees 2. So the arc is only 8. Okay, so it's 2 degrees away. But when we look at the court date arc, now the MC has gone to 9 degrees and 5 minutes, I think it is. It's just shifted another whole degree. And so I'm asking a rhetorical question now, because I don't know, I've not done this much. When the MC, the solar arc MC, and I wouldn't really know how to calculate that, so write in, let me know. When the solar arc MC becomes exactly conjunct to his natal Pluto, hidden away in his 12th house in Leo, and when you've got a planet in the 12th, you don't want other people to know about it, and it's all about power and transformation, all the rest of it. When MC, which is how other people see you in your work, your viewpoint of the work, career, etc. When the MC becomes exactly conjunct, it's now on the court date of the sentencing, it's less than, I've just done the maths on it, it's less than a degree away. Okay, so it's natally is Pluto is 10 degrees 03, solar arc on the 11th of July this year, the MC will be 9 degrees 5. So that's pretty near, but I expect at some point, well, obviously it will do, the solar arc MC is going to be to exactly 10:03, which is natal Pluto. One would assume that something radical to his career is going to happen. So either he gets, I don't know, he wins the election, God help us, but something deeply transformative is going to happen as far as his career goes. I mean, he's on the 11th of July this year, the solar arc Neptune is 20 degrees 34 and his natal moon is 21:12, so that's again less than a degree apart. So, and he's denied everything. Well, he will do, won't he? Everybody denies everything because they don't want to get sentenced. I mean, he's delusional, but I'm not going into what I think he's like. But I thought that was another thing that I could demonstrate for yourself. So we've done, the MC has been moved forward by 74 degrees. So everything's shifted by the degrees for the age that he is, because he's 74 years old. I mean, he's already had his birthday, or has he had his birthday? That's the point. He's born on the 14th of June. No, he hasn't had his birthday. So there'll be another shift when we get to his birthday, because then it'll be 75, because at the moment he's 74, and however many months and blinking weeks it is. So today we've done another little exploration of solar arcs. So have a little experiment yourself. I don't think I'm going to do another episode next week unless somebody else writes into me. We'll probably go on to something else, but thank you very much, Kelly, for sending in your chart and the interesting arcs that have happened, and the maths that we've done. Trust me, I'm no good at maths, so the struggle, I need a calculator. I can do basic things, but it's just the distance degree wise between one planet and another represents 1 year of life and what's going on. So anyway, so I hope you have a fab week, and I'll be back next week. Bye bye now.